putting the ball in the basket.
Kentucky on a Super Tuesday. It's SEC basketball on ESPN. And we are inside Rupp Arena as the Wildcats, in front of another packed house, will play host to the South Carolina Gamecocks. And a pleasant good evening, everybody. I'm Dave Neal alongside former ACC head coach Dino Gaudio. And coach, about a month ago, Kentucky getting kind of a bad rap for losing some basketball games. But of late, this is a club that maybe has turned the corner. They have won 3 in a row, 5 of their last 7. Are they back in the hunt for an NCAA tournament berth?
Dave, this is a team trending upward. In their last 5 games, their numbers have been superb. Holding teams to 36% from the field. They're scoring the ball at a 50% rate. And 4 of those 5 games, SEC road games. This is an NCAA tournament team. If they don't win the SEC, they'll get one of those 37 at-larges, and I wouldn't want to play them in the NCAA tournament.
Well, you mentioned shooting, and as we go to our one-on-one, we'll start with South Carolina, and they're going to have to shoot the ball well tonight if they want to pick up a win.
Absolutely. Their last 2 games, they're scoring amazing 46 points a game, shooting only 33% from the field. Now, Kentucky on the other side wants to play at a faster tempo, because South Carolina, you're going to see 4 and 5 pass possessions. They want to slow the basketball game down.
Well, let's take a look at our South Carolina starting lineup for a 12-9 club. 2-6 in the SEC. They've lost 2 in a row. They'll go with Ellington and Williams in the backcourt tonight, along with Richardson, the freshman Carrera, and Lakeem Jackson, the lone senior, in that starting 5. Meanwhile, for the Kentucky Wildcats, it'll be Ryan Harrow, the sophomore point guard, Archie Goodwin, Julius Mays, Alex Poitras, and Nerlens Noel. 3 consecutive weeks, Nerlens has been the SEC Freshman of the Week. Well, John Calipari in his 20th season as a college basketball head coach. 4 of those have been right here in Lexington. Of course, coming off that national championship from a year ago. On the other side, Frank Martin, first year at South Carolina, but had great success at Kansas State. Took Kansas State to 3 straight NCAAs. Matter of fact, with 29-8 back in that 09-2010 campaign. A little bit of a different story with the South Carolina team, just trying to find some offense. Somebody needs to get hot as Kentucky wins the opening tap.
Now, defensively, Dave, you're going to see South Carolina intense ball pressure on Ryan Harrow, trying to force Kentucky to beat them from the outside.
Here's Harrow, defended by Ellington. Mays, entry pass. Poitras up underneath and took an extra step, wave it off. And South Carolina will have the basketball. This has been a series that certainly has favored the Wildcats since South Carolina joined the conference back in the early 90s. Kentucky leads at 46-10. Jackson trying to keep it alive. Noel with his first rebound.
Now, against Florida, South Carolina shot fast. 1 pass, jump shots. That's not what they want this evening.
And right into a triple team goes Archie Goodwin. Through some contact, he'll step to the free throw line. Talking to Coach Calipari, said they had a really good practice yesterday. Feels like this team is starting to grow a little bit, but they're still young, and he's still having to fight some of the battles he was hoping would be gone by now.
But I'll tell you what, it's amazing. I watched practice yesterday. How much time he still spends on the fundamentals. They're doing step slide drills, one-on-one defensive drills. And when you have a young basketball team, that's how they get better. If you can improve them, Dave, individually, then collectively they'll start to come together, and that's where this team is right now.
So 1 out of 2 for Goodwin. Here's some pressure. Ellington tries to dribble through it, and he does so. Gets it to Williams. Now Carrera in the corner. The freshman won't go down. Rebound to Goodwin as we look at our South Carolina keys to win.
And that's what they want to do. Control the tempo, play at a slower pace. And offensively, they want to move that fella right there out on the floor, get him away from the rim where he could block shots.
Noel on the board. 3-0 Kentucky. Opening minute here from Lexington, Kentucky. Williams left it short. Poitras the rebound.
Now Kentucky on the other side, they want to go inside out, and we saw them just do it, throwing the ball to Nerlens Noel. and they want to run and run and run some more, Dave. They want to play at a faster pace. That's also why you're seeing them extending their defense and putting pressure on South Carolina 94 feet.
That foul on Ellington, his first. Bruce, the junior out of Moncks Corner, South Carolina. Noel working on the freshman Carrera. Harrow, Poitras.
Sharing the basketball. That's what Calipari has talked about all season long. And just now they're starting to do it.
Averaging about 15 assists per game, third best number in the conference. Richardson back to Williams. He'll dump it down to Jackson. Williams, long three, no good. Noel the rebound. Mays inside. Poitras goes baseline, won't go, but will have some free throws.
Now, Dave, free throws have been a major problem for this Kentucky team. It's Cal's worst free throw shooting team since he had Memphis in 2008, and maybe free throws cost that team a national championship. Now, the good side of things is that the Ole Miss game under 350, they make 9 of 10 free throws. And against Texas A&M, Julius Mays was superb, 5 of 6 down the stretch in overtime. So hopefully they're finding themselves at the free throw line.
Poitras, 71% foul shooter on the year. Now been to the line 102 times in his young Kentucky career. Well, this is eerily similar to what South Carolina faced last week at Florida, when the Gators jumped all over them early. South Carolina couldn't beat the pressure from the Gators.
And from an offensive perspective, you see Carrera out on the floor beyond the three-point line handling the basketball. That's to draw Nerlens Noel's out. And when Carrera has it, you'll see Noel out beyond the three-point line so that South Carolina can have some opportunities at the rim without the shot blocker right there.
So Williams at the free throw line. He's an 83% foul shooter on the year. Wilcher will check in for Poitras. And here's a young man that is certainly a big part of the recent success of the Wildcats. Winners of 3 straight and 5 of their last 7.
In the first 2 SEC games, Cal Wilcher has 2 points. In the latter 5, he's averaging 15 a game. And I think a lot of that has to do because Willie Cauley-Stein was on the bench. He's getting more minutes. He's a great addition because he's a stretch 4 for Kentucky.
How about Mays knocking down the 3 and got fouled by Ellington in the process? A 4-point opportunity coming up for the Cats. That'll be the second on Ellington.
Great penetration and the kick out. That's what Calipari's talking about when we got to subjugate ourselves for our teammates. A very good 3-pass possession two possessions ago. And then this one here, Goodwin with the excellent pass to the outside to Julius Mays.
You mentioned free throw shooting as a team. Not a great number for Kentucky, but Mays 82% on the season. It's a 4-point play. It's 11-2 Kentucky. Carrera blocked. Stays with it, gets the basket.
Now we have to watch, Dave, with Ellington on the bench with 2 fouls. Who's going to run this basketball team for Frank Martin?
Eric Smith does check in for Ellington. Now Wilcher has it. Defended by Jackson. Wilcher goes to the left hand. I think he took an extra step.
This team blocks so many shots from the help side. Their athleticism really shows itself at the rim.
Averaging almost 8 blocks per game. Of course, many of those go to Nerlens Noel, who is first in the country in that department. Here's Carrera. His second 3-point attempt of the game is a good one.
And that's a good sign for South Carolina because when Carrera hits that first 3, then Noel has to go out beyond the 3-point line to guard him.
Harrow gets past Smith. Reverse layup is good. Ryan Harrow averaging 10 points a game, gets his first 2.
A nice little UCLA cut, a rub off Nerlens Noel at the elbow for the pass, for the basket.
13-7 Kentucky. 15:30 to go opening half. Dave Neal alongside former ACC head coach Dino Gaudio. Richardson, pull-up jumper, got it. That's a three, and it's 13-10. And if South Carolina's going to shoot the three ball like that, we might have something on our hands.
And as we know, the three, that's the great equalizer in the game.
Just ask Florida, who got beat tonight in Arkansas by 11, 80-69, the final score from Fayetteville. Noel, Harrell, off to Goodwin.
This is as well as I've seen Kentucky pass the ball all year long. John has to be, Calipari has to be really pleased with how the basketball's moving on the offensive end.
Carrera lost the handle, stays with it. Again stays with it, gets it past Noel. That's no easy task.
The best thing he did initially, Dave Carrera, was when Noel's on you on the perimeter, drive the big guy, take him to the basket with the dribble.
Well, that'll take us to break. 15-12, Kentucky out in front. When we come back, we'll look at some numbers that you definitely need to know. Kentucky leads it by 3. They've hit 5 of 6 from the floor, including 5 straight. Those were some numbers, but these are numbers that you need to know. And we'll start with the Florida Gators. They were, until tonight, beating opponents by an average of 23 points a game, but they lose by 11 tonight. Ole Miss, 13.5, 20th in the country. And how about the Kentucky Wildcats? When they play well, they can win by double figures. They're 22nd in the country in a scoring margin.
And if I'm John Calipari, I love what we're doing on the offensive end. Our execution's been outstanding. We have 4 assists on 5 field goals. And after the Florida loss tonight, look at the teams. Ole Miss, Kentucky, Alabama, right in the thick of the things. If Kentucky could somehow win the game at home here, what, 1 game back from the Gators.
And a week from tonight, Kentucky will head down to Gainesville to meet those Gators. Ole Miss takes on Mississippi State tomorrow. And Alabama will take on Auburn in Auburn. Those are your top 4 teams in the conference. Paulson will check in for Kentucky. Boythris back on the floor as well, along with Mays and Wilcher and Noel. It's Smith, Jackson, Richardson, Slauson, and Carrera for the Gamecocks. Carolina's played pretty well, struggled early, but has knocked down a couple of three-pointers to make this a 3-point contest. Hey, Frank Martin, you got to be pretty happy you weathered that early storm. Lawson can't get the friendly roll on the road. Carrera trying to keep it alive.
And I'm Frank Martin. I'm happy with that possession. We broke the press. We didn't have anything. We had about 5 or 6 passes. And we got a good look at the basket with the shot. So that's the tempo that Martin wants to play at.
I think we got a double foul. Jamie Luckey on the far side. I think he hit Nerlens Noel. And Carrera got one for South Carolina. Don't see that very often.
That's Noel's first foul, the team's third. And Carrera's first foul, the team's fifth.
I guess they were just exchanging some shoulders running back down the floor. A couple of freshmen. Carrera out of Venezuela. He'll take a seat. Noel in traffic. Jump ball. Arrow favors South Carolina. Well, a doubleheader of Wednesday Night Hoops is on ESPNU. At 7, Shabazz Napier and the Huskies go on the road to face D'Angelo Harrison and the Red Storm. Then at 9, freshman Ben McLemore and the 5th-ranked Jayhawks look to continue their hot season as they take on the Horned Frogs. Wednesday Night Hoops presented by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Connecticut St. John's at 7 and Kansas TCU at 9 on ESPNU. You can also catch it live on Watch ESPN. once again, Bruce Ellington on the bench for South Carolina. 2 early fouls.
Dave, you'll see Cauley Stein and Nerlens Noel play all handoffs and ball screens just laterally. Other guys, Poythress and Wiltshire, will play those ball screens hard.
With the shot clock winding down, Richardson misfires from 3. Here's Wiltshire. Cross-court pass. Mays goes up to catch it. Into the lane. Kicks it out. Another good catch by Poythress. And he steps out of bounds. That'll be the 4th Kentucky turnover.
Coach Martin coaches every possession. He is really into guys. He was at the shoot-around today. Classic form. Very, very demanding, accepting of nothing less. And these guys, shoot-around started at 12:30 today. We walked out at 2:05.
He's a guy that doesn't like to say things twice. I learned that today. That's what I got out of shoot-around.
You know, it's frustrating for him. When you have a young team, he'll tell one guy something, one of the young guys, and then the sub that's on the sideline that comes in makes the same error, drives you nuts as a coach.
Shot clock again down to 5. Leonard fires fall away. Damian Leonard averaging just shy of 4 points a game with a nice fall away jump shot.
And this is exactly South Carolina's game plan. Take the shot clock to 10. That's when we want to shoot 10 or under. And they're running their offense to perfection right now.
South Carolina will have the basketball with a chance to take the lead as we approach the 12-minute mark here in the first half. Three straight turnovers now by Kentucky. Kivicius off to Leonard. He'll square up again off the back of the iron. Kachinas keeps it alive. He can't get it to go. But another opportunity for the Gamecocks.
That's South Carolina basketball. Nobody in the SEC retrieves more of their misses than South Carolina. And if you're going to beat Kentucky, you got to get some easy baskets. Second shots are the way to do that.
Willie Cauley-Stein just rips it out of the air. Here's Goodwin. Left it short. Tapped around and saved by Harrell.
Cauley-Stein looked like a point guard on that possession.
Harrell knocks down the jumper. Williams quickly back the other way and got the layup to go down.
And that layup is on Goodwin and Poythress. When Harrell penetrates, that two guard has to get back for defensive balance.
Here's Williams. Back the other way. South Carolina looking for the lead. They're down one, 17-16. Kachinas. Shot clock winds down again. Great cut from Smith. Leonard hit him. And South Carolina leads it by 1. First lead of the game for the Gamecocks.
And you're seeing Kentucky go under the screen. Damian Leonard, a three-point shooter. His numbers aren't great, but that's his reputation. And then no defensive balance for the Cats. They have to get back on defense. And then in the half court, a little back screen. The guy guarding the screener, Willie Cauley-Stein, has to help out on the back screen. Very good execution from the offensive perspective for South Carolina.
Not surprised that Leonard was able to get a good look at the basket. He came into this game just 2 of his last 22 from the floor, 0 for 11 behind the arc over a 6-game stretch.
But believe it or not, Dave, that's what he is. His reputation is as a three-point shooter. If you're going to switch out on him, you better switch out on him and force him off the three-point line. Make him drive the basketball.
South Carolina's made 3 of their last 4. Carrera now back on the floor. Eric Smith didn't start tonight, but is on the floor because Ellington has 2 personal fouls. 5 team fouls against South Carolina, only 3 team fouls against Kentucky as we close in on 10 minutes to go in the opening half.
And for the first time, we see South Carolina in zone.
Cauley-Stein goes up to catch it, now in traffic. And a foul against South Carolina as Mays goes to the basket. When we return, we will check in with our studios in a big upset in the SEC.
And a Schroff with his SportsCenter U in-game. Arkansas handed second-ranked Florida its first SEC loss of the season. The Hogs built a 17-point halftime lead, never looked back. And fellas, they did not rush the floor at Bud Walton Arena. Arkansas by 11.
Well, Anish, you know, we've heard it. I've had Florida a couple of times recently, and Billy Donovan has said it over and over again. You know, I got to keep my guys from being complacent, but I think until they get popped in the mouth, you don't understand.
We saw the same thing at Kansas. You could see Kansas trending down a little bit. You talk to him as a coach, but sometimes until you get popped in the nose.
Right.
But I really like Florida. I think this is an outstanding basketball team. Wilbekin, terrific defender. Wilbekin's the honey badger of SEC basketball. He locks down Pressey. He's on Elston Turner. I just think this Florida team, Dave, has more connective tissue than the team last year, who was 4 points away from going to the Final Four.
Back-to-back Elite Eights for this Florida Gator team, and of course ranked number 2 this week, but upset 80-69. Ole Miss drops out of the top 25, of course losing to Kentucky in a great game, and then they go down to Florida with some injuries, and that didn't help matters. And Alabama won 6 of the last 7. They're 6-2 in league play.
Wow. It's a whole different race now with what happened with Florida tonight. I had some thoughts that Florida, and obviously wrong, could possibly go through the SEC unblemished, but not the case.
You know, in the new 18-game schedule, that would have been a minor miracle.
Tough.
So Mays will step to the free throw line. South Carolina on a 16-6 run since Ellington went out of the game, surprisingly.
And this guy right here, Julius Mays, he's emerging as the veteran of this team. Coach Cal puts him on Elston Turner, Texas A&M, in the game on Saturday. Defended him well. He makes a huge three with 3:47 to go. And then down the stretch in overtime, 5 of 6 from the free throw line. That's why they grabbed this young guy from Wright State. And all of a sudden, he's starting to play like a veteran, which Kentucky needs him to do. Now, you see Nerlens Noel on those ball screens. He never leaves the blue. He doesn't leave the paint. He's staying in. They're playing those ball screens laterally.
Takeaway by Goodwin to the basket. Layup won't go. Tapped around. Last touch by Kentucky, and it belong to the Gamecocks.
I'm not sure if John Cal missed that or not. It looked like the ball might have hit off the South Carolina player while he was out of bounds.
South Carolina will take it. You know that. Down 1. As Cauley-Stein will defend the inbounds pass. So, Coach Cal going big with Noel and Cauley-Stein on the floor. That'll be a turnover, so Kentucky gets it right back.
I guess the basketball hit out of bounds before the player. I should never question that official, John Cal. 5 of the last 7 Final Fours. We got a great crew here. Jamie Lucky as well, 3 Final Fours.
Here's Mays.
Zone has bothered Kentucky during the season at times.
Blocking foul against Carrera. So Cauley-Stein to the free throw line with a 3-point opportunity.
Against the zone, that's where you want to get the ball. High post, short corner. Cauley-Stein catches it just below the elbow. 1 dribble penetration. Because at Vanderbilt, they went 1 for 14 Kentucky against the zone. Vandy goes on an 18-0 run. And against Ole Miss went on a 16-0 run against Kentucky in the zone. But that's the way you handle it. High post, short corner.
3-point play for Cauley-Stein. And the takeaway, Ellington picked by Harrell, who lays it up and in. Richardson. Inside to Jackson. That's swatted out of there by you-know-who. Nerlens Noel will start the break. Good one. That's blocked by Jackson. Here goes Williams back the other way. Richardson misses the layup.
He didn't block that one, but he might have affected the shot.
Harrow, reverse.
That's a big-time play, the Euro step from Ryan Harrow.
Timeout, South Carolina.
You see a lot of bodies on the floor. Kentucky first to the floor. Outstanding Euro step from the point guard that they've been counting on. Big guys getting on the floor for Kentucky. That's a tough reverse layup right there. Point guard play has been a question mark for Kentucky this season. If this young guy right here steps up, this team could make a deep run in the NCAA tournament.
Harrow with 8 points to lead everybody. 4 out of 4 from the field. A couple of assists and 2 rebounds.
Dave, when you attack the zone, there's 5 ways you want to do it. You want a fast break, beat it down the floor, go high post and short corner, attack the gaps, like the 2 guys split them with the dribble, screen the zone, and then finally, when that ball goes up, you don't have assigned blockouts. Let's get some offensive rebounds, but that's the gist of how you want to attack the zone, and Kentucky did a great job of getting the basketball to the high post.
Well, what was a 1-point South Carolina lead has turned into an 8-point Kentucky lead after this 9-0 run.
Shot clock at 5.
Smith, that's blocked. Shot clock violation. Was there a foul first? Let's see what Anthony Jordan says. So our guys will talk about it. We'll step aside, come back, get the results. Kentucky leads it by 8. Well, Coach, what are some things we need to watch for tonight?
Well, you're looking at how John Calipari is using Kyle Wiltjer. Now, here's a ball screen, and he's going to pick and pop. And watch Wiltjer's IQ for the game. He's going to wait till Marshall Henderson, 22 in white, clears out under the basket. And now he drives the ball. Great reverse pivot. And then the other way that they'll use him, Dave, is they'll run a flex cut on the baseline. Watch Murphy Holloway help on the flex cut. Because Wiltjer sets a good screen, he must help. And an outstanding screen for Paulson, screening down. And Wiltjer has 3-point range, wonderful offense. This young man, last 5 games for Kentucky, averaging 15 a game. Picking and popping, flex cuts, down screens for him. He's been marvelous the last 5.
15 points a game. And how good was he against Ole Miss? I mean, he put the team on his shoulders for the first 30 minutes of that game on the road.
Marvelous. And some of the Kentucky fans are saying, where was he? Some guys take time to develop. They're not all Anthony Davis or Michael Kidd-Gilchrist.
By the way, our officials got together during that timeout and determined that Hadkevicius was fouled a split second before the shot clock violation. So thus the 2 free throws. Didn't matter, missed them both. Good one, right down the lane.
Athleticism and explosiveness. When he hit the midcourt line, he was just by everybody.
10-point game, largest lead for the Wildcats. 7.5 to go. First half basketball from Rupp Arena. Dave Neal and Coach Dino Gaudio. Here's Smith, who's played a lot of minutes. Ellington picked up 2 fouls. And has been on the bench most of this first half. Shot clock at 4. Hadkevicius, little jump hook off the window over Poitras.
And you're seeing Kentucky in the half court. They're allowing South Carolina to reverse the ball. They might need to get a little more in the passing lanes. Deny passes one pass away because South Carolina is just running their offense.
A foul on Smith. That'll be the first on Eric. That is the 8th team foul, so Archie Goodwin to the free throw line, 10th in the conference in scoring at almost 15 a game. Willie Cauley-Stein back on the floor. Poythress to the bench. Speaking of Willie Cauley-Stein, I think he's a guy down the stretch that can be a key component. Of course, missed some time after having his knee cleaned out a little bit, and Coach Cal trying to get him some more minutes. Played 4 minutes in their last game.
Here's the difference when he's in the game, Dave. He and Nerlens Noel, both bigs, are block to block. It's a little congested inside. When Wilcher goes to the four position, the power forward, they have a little better spacing for Noel's to operate inside because Wilcher stretches the defense with his three-point shooting.
Big lineup with 6'10 Noel, 6'10 Wilcher, 7-footer Willie Cauley-Stein.
And you're seeing Kentucky switch the dribble handoff with Wilcher. You ask yourself as a coach, what gets you beat? Does the mismatch get you beat, or does the open guy get you beat? It's the mismatch. It's the open guy. So let's switch, have a guy on a guy, and that's what Calipari's doing right now with those dribble handoffs.
Look at the height, average height by this Kentucky team. 9th in the country with 3 of those bigs on the floor, and that's what Willie Cauley-Stein can bring you right there. Just goes up over everybody and then feeds the monster that is Kyle Wilcher.
And that's what that guy can bring you. 3-point shooting.
Mays knocks it out of bounds. Saw Kyle's dad at practice today. He's got some size too and played for the Canadian national team back in the '84 Olympics.
and this is what we're talking about, Dave. He's like a Ryan Kelly from Duke and Eric Murphy from Florida, a big 6'11", 7-foot that could shoot the three.
Offensive foul. Had Kevicius with a moving screen. We'll give it back to the Wildcats.
Guys with the basketball have to understand you can't run the big into a foul. In other words, let's make sure that big guy's set before you come off of the screen. Let the big guy pop the floor. Let the officials see he's set. Then you're coming off of that screen.
Noel. Cauley-Stein. Noel spins. Little jump hook short. Here's Williams.
If you're looking at South Carolina's offense, everybody starts, all 5 guys are above the foul line.
Had Kevicius, little scoop shot won't go. Wilcher grabs the rebound. And those are the turnovers that Coach Calipari was talking about. Can't afford that. A little run out, but then when you got Noel back there defending the rim, it helps.
You were talking about turnovers. Kentucky in the last 5 games, 30 more turnovers than their opponents. 72-42 turnovers Kentucky to their opponents.
No chance for Smith over
Get your
Noel.
head up. Get your head up.
Had Kevicius fouls Goodwin. And how about Nerlens Noel? 4 blocks tonight, now 101 on the year.
One less dribble, shoot the pull-up, or take it underneath the basket and use the rim as a protector. You're not getting that off against that big fella. In the shoot-around today, that's what Frank Martin preached. Fellas, one less dribble, shoot the jump shot. You take it in there and try to use your body against Noel. He's going to swat it. It's like an outlet pass down the other end.
He said, don't look at me when he swats it. I'm telling you right now.
He didn't use those exact words,
No,
but that's what he said.
Yeah, right. Right. I clean it up a little bit for television.
He had a baseball hat on today. He threw that thing down into the dirt a couple times.
Chasing down Anthony Davis, who had that 186 block season.
Dave, no one dominated a game like Noel did, scoring just 2 points against Ole Miss with the 12 blocks, maybe since Anthony Davis in the championship game, where he shoots 1 for 10, 6 blocks, 16 boards. Just completely changed the game with his shot blocking.
And he did against Ole Miss. I mean, he took Murphy Holloway on at the rim, and not many people can get away with that.
With 4 fouls.
Right. 4:03 to go in the first half. It was 18-17, South Carolina. We went to timeout, and since then, it has been all Kentucky. Shot clock down to 2. Smith fires. Got it up on the rim.
Kentucky's doing a wonderful job of limiting South Carolina to 1 shot on the offensive end.
Off the window, Harrow. Ryan Harrow now with 10. He's 5 out of 5 from the field. Long 3, Richardson knocks it down. 13-point game.
You have to make Richardson a driver. Make him put it on the floor. When you close out to him, you got to be all up into him. Make him bounce it.
Wilcher will head to the free throw line when we come back. Kentucky has picked up the pace a little bit. They are shooting 63% from the floor. It's easy when you get to throw them down like that. 30-60.
Anish Shroff in studio. Coming up at halftime, Florida suffers its first SEC defeat of the season. We'll go to Ann Arbor and check in on Ohio State and Michigan. That's a top 10 matchup. And see how Miami stayed perfect in the ACC. David Dino.
Thank you, Anish. The Hurricanes just rolling along. Who would have thought that? Well, Kentucky rolling along as well. They lead it by 13 here at Rupp. ESPN's Journey to the Tourney is a season-long spotlight on games that will impact the tournament. On Monday, it's a battle for statewide bragging rights in the Big 12 when Rodney McGruder leads the 13th-ranked Wildcats into Allen Fieldhouse against freshman Ben McLemore and the 5th-ranked Jayhawks. Kansas State, Kansas, Monday at 9 on ESPN. Also live on Watch ESPN. Almost 17 minutes in the books here in the first half. What do you take away from those first 17 minutes?
Well, how Kentucky has stretched the lead is all on the defensive end of the floor. They're limiting South Carolina to 1 shot. We're seeing the block shots, and they're very together, a collective group on the defensive end.
Kentucky's plus 10 in the rebounding department. They have 7 blocks in this game. And Wilcher gets them both to go down. So Kyle has 5 points. Richardson.
See, Dave, when you're being pressed, my mentality is, hey, let's make them pay for extending their defense. Let's try to get some easy baskets against the pressure. Then if we don't have anything, we'll pull it back up. Now, Frank Martin's not happy with that shot. If we could get that shot after 3 or 4 possessions, let it come back around, and Brian Richardson needs to understand that. I feel your pain, Coach. We're shooting too quick. That's what they did at Florida. That's how the game got out of hand. Let that ball come back around to you. We can always get that 3.
Ninth turnover by Kentucky. That foul on Wilcher. That'll be his second.
Cal Wilcher can't try to stop the ball 45 feet from the basket. Get back to the three-point line, break down, and keep it in front of you. Bad decision from a smart player.
Here's Smith. Richardson. Chinnis now off to Smith. And a reach-in foul on Harrow. Well, those in the South and around the country getting ready for a big day tomorrow. And ESPNU is the definitive source for National Signing Day on Wednesday. Wake up early as top football prospects across the nation decide which big-time programs they plan to join. Over 11 hours of coverage. 15 or more players will make their announcements. 13 reporters are on college campuses. I mean, it is a big deal, and ESPNU is where you need to be. Coach Stoops here at Kentucky making a late push. Looks like he may have a really good signing class considering he just got this job. Shot clock violation, but the horn sounds. Doesn't stop Cauley-Stein. A nice friendly roll inside rough.
And the reason the play happened, Dave, was Kaichinis down this end way too slow on his release, which enabled Cauley-Stein to get out and block the shot. And then no defensive balance by Eric Smith for South Carolina.
So Cauley-Stein can't convert the three-point play.
But the young guy, Kaichinis, has to understand when he pops, he better have his hands and feet ready to shoot the basketball. Much too slow of a release.
Foul on Cauley-Stein as he tries to block Kaichinis' shot. That'll be the first on Willie. Missed 4 games. Came back against Texas A&M in that overtime win on Saturday in College Station. Played only 4 minutes. Had started 5 straight.
Now here's the other problem that South Carolina's having. This is their 5th free throw attempt of the half. So they need to have more action going to the basket, maybe off the dribble. Put a little foul pressure on Kentucky.
Kaichinis, the freshman out of Lithuania, makes it a 16-point game. Once again, it was 18-17 South Carolina, right around that 12-minute mark. And it has been all Kentucky since then. Mays fires. That's a 3. He has 9. That's the 3rd 3 for the Cats.
Drive him. When you have Noel out on the floor, you want to drive the big fella.
Swing it around the perimeter. Schlosson, pull-up jumper. That won't go. Shot clock is down to 1. Kentucky can take the final shot if they so choose in the first half. Goodwin to the basket. Got it to go.
Looks like a big-time player tonight, Goodwin.
Boy, the Cats are efficient offensively. They lead it by 21 points. They knocked down 15 of 22 shots, 68%. They finished the half on a 28-6 run over the last 10 minutes. That was impressive. Cats lead it at the break. Let's head to the studio and join Anish Shroff and Adrian. And welcome back to Super Tuesday and ESPNU's coverage of SEC basketball. Kentucky in control by 21 points, 45-24. They finish the half on a 28-6 run over the last 10 minutes of the game, shooting lights out. Dave Neal back alongside former ACC head coach Dino Gaudio, and other than about a 5-minute spurt in that first half, it was all Kentucky, played so well offensively. I mean, I got to think that Cal's got to be pretty happy with that 20 minutes.
He has to be really happy with the first 20 minutes. I think it's about as good as basketball as they could play. And, Dave, they've done it on both sides of the ball. They've done it on the defensive end. And you're looking at South Carolina, they just cannot score at the rim. I mean, they have the ball right at the cup. First of all, the block, Goodwin with a great steal, quick hands. But South Carolina is not scoring the ball at the rim. And that's what Andy Kennedy had said happened the Ole Miss game. Now, you're watching South Carolina on defense, and you'll see Brian Richardson, and this is how they guard ball screens, going under the screen. Kachinas will hug up on Proitas. Now watch Proitas here when he rolls. He actually screens off Brian Richardson as he's rolling to the basket because Kachinas didn't stand Proitas up on the screen. That's a 3. And another way, Brian Richardson looking at him on the left-hand side of the screen now. When Goodwin penetrates, he's not in good initial defensive position. And when he helps, Goodwin makes a great decision off of the penetration. He sees where the defender is. Nice kick out. Rhythm 3 for Julius Mays. This team is playing so well, Dave, on both sides of the basketball.
I think you used a great word right there, rhythm. It looks as though Kentucky is in rhythm offensively tonight.
A very good rhythm on the offensive side of the basketball.
They will have the leather in their hands first. Do the Wildcats up 21. Now, if you're Frank Martin, what was your message?
I think we got to try to attack them a little bit off the dribble, a little more off the dribble. You're seeing them being really aggressive in their defense. Let's see if they could create some offense off the block right there.
Ellington back on the floor. Richardson misfires.
I'm certain Frank doesn't want that shot right off of 1 past 3.
Poitras. That won't go. They will say ball was on the cylinder. Offensive goaltending. Look at our game trends. And Kentucky opened up an 11-2 run, but then South Carolina, Ellington picks up 2 fouls, goes to the bench, and during that time, surprisingly, Gamecocks pick up 10 points. But then the last 9:55, all Cats.
We know South Carolina labors to score. So offensively, you have to try to get some easy baskets. Like in transition, attack the rim before Kentucky's defense is set. They're playing too much 5-on-5 right now.
Ellington played just 3 minutes in that first half with 2 fouls. Had 2 turnovers, no shots. Carrera to the basket off the window.
Nice pump fake by Carrera. Got Noel off his feet. John's talked a lot about Calipari, about Nerlens Noel staying down, be the second guy off the floor. Because of his length, he could be late on his jump and still get the block.
Richardson almost had a turnover. That would probably be the one thing that John Calipari discussed with his team. Turnovers. They had 9 in the first 20 minutes.
As we mentioned earlier, Dave, in the last 5 games, they've had 30 more turnovers than their opponents. Amazingly, they've won 4 of the 5.
Shot clock at 7. Here's Archie Goodwin.
He doesn't see it.
Mays does, fires and connects. Mays with his 3rd 3 of the game. Give him a dozen game-high honors.
There you go. Drive the ball if you're South Carolina to the basket, especially when Noel is out on the perimeter. Pressure. See, we saw Brenton Williams go over top of the screen, and Julius Mays, a wonderful job of reading the defense. He faded to the corner. You just can't play this game with your body, Dave. You have to play it with your mind as well. When Mays saw Williams shortcut the screen, he flared to the corner. That's what created the opening for the shot.
Lane violation against Nerlens Noel, so Ellington will get another chance. Ellington, surprisingly, 58% foul shooter on the year. Rattles that one home. So give Ellington his first 2.
Maybe he still feels that football in his hand a little bit.
Boy, had a great year for the Gamecocks on the gridiron. Alley-oop to Noel, who goes with a left-hand slam.
High percentage shot when you're throwing it down through the cylinder.
Noel, 2 out of 4 from the field for 4 points. Lakeem Jackson can't get that shot to fall.
South Carolina's fortunate because their conversion defense hasn't been good.
Speaking of conversions, Bruce Ellington, 40 catches this year. Of course, the big one in their bowl game that won it late, finished with 7 touchdowns. The basketball court, averaging 10.5 points a game this year. How big a transition is that for an athlete at this level?
Much different football, basketball. The pace of play, especially when you have a skill set, the ball in your hands. You know, he has the ball in his hands 40–50% of the time running the offense for South Carolina. But what a football season he had. He led South Carolina all-purpose yards, 1,034, on a team that they're calling the best football team in South Carolina history, winning 11 games.
I just think playing two sports at this level is crazy. And Tony Gonzalez, of course, great basketball player and having a Hall of Fame career. Julius Peppers, not so bad for the Tar Heels. Charlie Ward was okay, wins a Heisman, then decides to give up football and has a lengthy career in the NBA.
Outside of Charlie Ward, most of those guys, big body post guys.
Off the window for Jackson. A lot of people don't realize Charlie didn't play basketball early in his Florida State career.
You're seeing Eric Smith and Lakeem Jackson out there, both young guys that went to the Christ School in Asheville, North Carolina. Where David Gaines, the head coach, has won 6 of 8 North Carolina state titles. And 3 other pretty good players have played at the Christ School. Mason, Miles, and now Marshall Plumlee. Pretty good deck to have.
Here's Ellington, gets a screen from Carrera. Back to Michael, the freshman out of Venezuela, hangs in the air, and you can count it. Carrera has come to Rupp his first trip here and has had a pretty good outing to this point. Has a dozen, looking for more.
Now, in Nerlens Noel's development, he's so long, Dave. He could stay on the floor at the three-point line, space Carrera out, maybe give him 3 feet. He still has the reach. He closed out too hard, and I love what Carrera did. Drive the big guy to the basket.
He has 14, looking for 15.
And that's what John Calipari's telling Nerlens right now.
And Carrera does complete the three-point opportunity. 16-point game. They've shaved 5 off the halftime deficit. Paulson in the game for the Wildcats. And a blocking foul against Richardson. That'll take us to our under 16 media timeout. Kentucky in control here at home at Rupp, looking for their 4th win in a row. That look says it all for Frank Martin as Kentucky shoots 69%. But you look in that huddle in a 52-36 game. To the left, the big guy in the nice-looking gray suit, that's Doug Edwards. He played basketball down at Florida State with Charlie Ward, who we just talked about, a Heisman Trophy winner. But Doug's brother, younger brother, Alan Edwards, actually played basketball here at Kentucky. Frank Martin instrumental in these guys, coaching them in high school. That's a connection to Doug in South Carolina. As you see what South Carolina student-athlete development. But Alan Edwards, for those Kentucky fans out there wondering where he is coaching at Wyoming right now as an assistant coach for Larry Chiat, who was on the Florida bench for a long time as a coach with Billy Donovan. And Coach Chiat also head coach at Clemson for a few years.
And now at Wyoming, and they're having a heck of a season. They're having a heck of a season. They really defend you. They guard you. Larry Chiat left Clemson, went with Billy to Florida, now at Wyoming doing a marvelous job. And one of the best conferences in the country, the Mountain West.
Will belong to South Carolina.
You know Frank Martin's guys are going to play hard. They don't have the skill set that they need, but they play with a lot of spirit and a lot of heart. If these guys wore hats, it would be a yellow hard hat because they play like he coaches.
Here's Ellington, gets that high screen from Carrera. Entry pass to Jackson. Boy, it's hard to get that entry pass. Jackson has given up so much size. He's 6'5". He's got Cauley Stein, a 7-footer on him.
He does play bigger than he is, but what I loved about the possession for Kentucky on defense, Poitras is talking, calling out the screen. You know what, Dave? You hear good defensive teams. The defensive teams that talk, those are the ones that get you over the hump a little bit. Where's the screen, the closeout?
Do you teach that? Is that just innate ability?
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. It's a big part of coaching. It's a big part of teaching.
Here's Ellington. He will fire a three and hit it off the back of the iron. Another chance for South Carolina. So 3 looks at it. And finally, Damian Leonard gets it to drop. He has 4 points.
And Coach Cal is not happy with Goodwin's box out.
Cauley Stein, good catch.
They understand at practice, they spend so much time in dribble penetration and just throwing that lob pass up to the rim. They did it yesterday in practice. They did it at the shoot-around today. When you got bigs like that, that's the pass to make.
Carrera, good catch, guarded by Poitras. And a foul against Poitras. Well, a doubleheader of Wednesday Night Hoops is on ESPNU at 7. Shabazz Napier and the Huskies go on the road to face D'Angelo Harrison and the Red Storm. Then at 9, freshman Ben McLemore and the 5th-ranked Jayhawks look to continue their hot season as they take on the Horned Frogs. Wednesday Night Hoops, presented by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. Connecticut, St. John's at 7. Kansas, TCU at 9 on ESPNU. And also, you can catch it on Watch ESPN.
This young guy right here, this is a Frank Martin guy. He plays hard, a lot of energy, and a great get out of Montrose Christian High School. Played for the legendary Stu Vetter. A lot of good players out of that. Kevin Durant, Montrose Christian with OKC. Grievous Vasquez, who's with the Hornets right now. And Lanus Kleza, also a Montrose Christian kid with the Raptors.
Well, Carrera's led the team in scoring the last 2 games. Had 13 against Florida, 16 against Georgia. And tonight has 16 points for the Gamecocks, who trail by 15. Paulson, Cauley Stein, not a bad play. And the 7-footer can take 1 step and slam it home.
South Carolina has to keep the ball in front of them. Too much dribble penetration for Kentucky. When the big comes over and helps, then they're throwing the lob up top.
It'll belong to Kentucky. Nerlens Noel about to check back in, and this was some of the highlights as he guards the rim in Oxford.
They just couldn't score at the basket. That play right there with 4 fouls, he was just outstanding. As we mentioned, Andy Kennedy said we just could not score the ball at the rim with that young fella there.
The question was posed, was that one of the, if not best, 2-point performances in college basketball history?
It was. It completely dominated the game, scoring 2 points.
When Murphy Holloway had a full head of steam, went for the rim and tried to throw one down, and Noel went up there with him.
Just challenged him at the Andy wanted a foul. Coach Kennedy wanted a foul on that one, but
Noel trying to show a little offense off the back of the rim. You know, I talked to Coach Cal today, we both did, about do you start feeding Noel after a 19-point performance against Texas A&M? And he says, you know what, until he starts shooting free throws better, it's going to be hard to run an offense for him.
Yeah, great point. And John said that's why they throw so many lobs to those big, because when you're throwing it down through the basket, you don't have to worry about free throws.
That foul will go against Harrow, and that'll be his 3rd.
That's his 3rd, the team's 4th.
A big guy, I'm sorry, Dave, a big guy like Noel, he just needs 1 move and 1 count. That's all. Like Frank Martin said, defending him, we want to make him go through it. Let's stay behind him. Let's try to push him off the block and up the lane a little bit and make him settle for the jump hook.
Jackson. 5 blocks for Noel. Now Nerlens working in the paint.
Now, here's what I love about the move. He got deep into the lane, tried to take the ball to the midline. Now he's a little closer for that little jump hook.
8 points for Nerlens.
The most important thing for big guys when they're posting is post depth, getting deep into the lane. Actually, where the restricted area arc is, that's where you want to post up.
Paulson grabs that rebound.
He blocks so many shots from the help side. You're not going to change your shot like that. Just, and then, of course, he's becoming better. He's becoming better on the offensive end of the floor.
See Davis, what he did last year in his one season. Compare that to Nerlens Noel, and it'd be hard to, you know, that's a tough comparison if you're Nerlens, because you're talking about player of the year in college basketball.
And the #1 pick in the draft. Yeah. Defensively, I think he's just as good. He doesn't have the offensive skill set yet.
Noel with that rebound. Has 5 of those. Foul on Carrera. And that'll be his 3rd.
It's only a matter of time before Frank Martin gets his program going. He's a wonderful coach, and this South Carolina program, proud basketball tradition. Frank McGuire started it, coached from 65 to 80 here, and had that New York pipeline. John Roach, Dunleavy, Kevin Joyce.
Mays will knock it down. 15 for Julius Mays, came in averaging 9. Wilcher to the basket, lost the handle.
This guy is emerging, is the veteran of this team, making shots, making threes, big free throws down the stretch against Texas A&M. They're counting on that guy.
Well, how do you get a 22-point lead with 11:38 to go in the second half? You shoot 68.8%. You knock down 22 out of 32.
And the way you do that is you share the basketball. When you talk about, you hear Coach Calipari talking about buying in, subjugating yourself for your teammates. This is exactly what he's talking about. They're sharing. You have a good shot, your teammate has a better one. Give him the ball, and that collective mental attachment is what he's referring to. And like I said, Dave, I think this team right here is an NCAA tournament team. I absolutely would not want to play them in the field of 68. No really bad losses for Kentucky.
I think that Ole Miss game, so much attention. Ole Miss was on the national scene, playing so well in the SEC, and Kentucky goes there on the road. It was a thrilling game to watch as a fan. Sure, hectic if you're a coach, but I think that was the kind of game Kentucky had to win. They lose that, this season may go a different direction. I think I gave them confidence. You know, they could go on the road, a young team, against a team that was playing so well.
They did. They tremendous atmosphere at Ole Miss. White out. They played very hard. They made free throws down the stretch, which you have to do on the road.
Here's Carrera trying to post up.
There's so much preparation. At the shoot-around today, I'm in the locker room, and here comes Kyle. He's just soaking wet, and he has a DVD in his hand. And I go, "You watching tape or you're working out?" He goes, "Both." Here, the managers of Kentucky have what they call a coach's clip, and they take out all the half times, all the timeouts, and it's down to 40 minutes. And how long's coach's workout on the treadmill? 40 minutes. So Kyle puts the DVD in, watches tape, gets his workout in. No rest for the weary. I got many a tough comment from Jamie Luckey as well on the sideline. The official.
And a hand check against Mays.
When you see the ball screen being called out defensively, you want to get into the ball before the screener gets to you. And a better show by Kyle Wilcher.
Here's Carrera off to Ellington. Bruce just having a tough night offensively. Ellington 0 for 3 from the floor, just 2 points and a rebound. And 4 fouls now on Carrera. Can't fault Carrera's efforts.
This young guy plays very, very hard. He's a blue-collar guy. Overmatched in size, but not in heart, Carrera.
You see him, he's frustrated.
When your point guard doesn't play well, especially on the road, like Bruce Ellington tonight, tough to win.
11 assists on 22 field goals for Kentucky. And they'll have another chance here.
With his length, when you box out Noel, you got to drive him out of the lane. Hatkevicius is just standing there, and Nerlens Noel goes right over the top of him.
Well, ESPN College Basketball is available live anytime, anywhere on your computer, tablet, or smartphone at WatchESPN.com and with the Watch ESPN app. So Archie Goodwin to the free throw line. Archie, 67% foul shooter. There is Carrera. Once again, just a freshman, but the kind of guy you can kind of build around. High energy. Can't have enough of those.
You absolutely can build around that guy. And when you have a young team like South Carolina, it's not so much making the great plays, it's eliminating the bad ones. That's what you need to do.
As I look at South Carolina, they just don't have that guy that can go guarantee you get you 15 a night.
They can't. They don't have that guy.
And another hand check against the Wildcats. You see the breakdown for Frank Martin's team.
He needs 2 of those freshmen, Hatkevicius, to step up, as well as Kachinas. Now, I coached 2 Lithuanian guys, and you can't paint them all with the same brush. When I was there, we had Darius Sangala. That guy was a warrior. I mean, he was as hard-nosed and as tough as you find. And then we had another guy, Vitas Danilus, that was a stretch 4-man, but they'd fight you. And that's what these young guys need to do. That's what they have to bring to the table.
So Ellington to the free throw line. Just 3 points for Bruce. Came in averaging a little over 10.
Lemonis, Hatkevicius, and Mendagas, Kachinas, those guys have to play big for South Carolina.
The 2 freshmen from Lithuania. Here's the freshman from Massachusetts. Gets it to the freshman from Kansas.
Hatkevicius, when he's on the help side, you have to see ball and man. There's no way that pass could just be made right across his chin. Hands up, in a stance.
That's 4 on Hatkevicius. And Cauley Stein to the free throw line. Well, he's played 13 minutes tonight. 9 points, 3 rebounds. Well, that time of the year when you start projecting, that's what Joe Lunardi of ESPN does. And here's his projected seeds out of the SEC.
I like it. Florida 1, Missouri 7, Ole Miss, Kentucky. This league's just in the state of flux, as we talked about. It's in transition. 15 guys out of the 60 drafted last year, taken from the SEC.
Knocked out of bounds.
Never throw a long pass short.
So Kentucky continues to shoot well, 66%. They've hit 5 out of 8 from behind the arc. They've also knocked down their free throws tonight, Coach. They're 16 out of 21 at the line. Foul on Slauson, banging with Noel.
And that's huge for this team, because I think outside of tonight, Big Blue Nation understands there's going to be a lot of close games for this basketball team. That's just the way it is this year with these guys. If they make free throws, that'll go a long way to them winning a lot of close games. And they have the latter 2 games.
Poitras put back counted.
See, that's not acceptable. Kaichinis has to box out on the free throw line. You have inside position, put your tail in there, and drive him up the lane.
So Poitras now.
Sometimes it's not about technique. It's about energy and emotion and toughness. And that's what Frank Martin's all about. And pretty soon, these guys better start taking on his personality.
Ellington throws it off. Good one. Well, I remember Tennessee. Bruce Pearl used to put Wayne Chisholm at the front of his press. Those long arms. And they created turnover after
deflections.
turnover. Oh.
Mobile big guys. Love them on defense, especially in the press.
Here's Ellington. We're under 9 minutes to play from Rupp.
Finally.
Poitras picks up his second, and that'll send Ellington back to the free throw line. So Bruce doing what coach had been calling for. Get it to the rim, try to get fouled, try to get to the free throw line. And Ellington, free throw number 5. Give him 6 points.
Now here's what John Calipari's looking at. Let's see if we can execute in a half court. Now, forget about the score. Let's make sure we're cutting hard, we're screening, we're running good offense in the half court.
And a whistle. That will go against Kaichinis. That'll be his third. And the foul starting to rack up now against South Carolina. That's 19 fouls.
You see both of these coaches barking at their guys. That's what coaching is. It's constantly dealing with athletes who unconsciously do what's comfortable. But comfortable is what gets you beat. Coaching is confrontation. It's challenging guys, challenging behavior that's not acceptable. And that's what both of these guys do.
Here's Lakeem Jackson off to Slauson. Ellington.
Bad shot. But it started with they didn't set the screen. A lot of times, it's not the screener's fault, it's the cutter's fault. Cutters have to go to screeners, rubbing off of that shoulder, and they're just not doing that in a half court.
A 24-point game. Nerlens Noel. He's got 8 points, 7 rebounds, 5 blocks. Willie Cauley-Stein doing his part with 11 points and 4 boards. ESPNU is the definitive source for National Signing Day on Wednesday. Wake up early as top football prospects across the nation decide which big-time programs they plan to join. Over 10 hours of coverage will include more than 15 live player announcements, reporters at 13 campuses, and class ranking updates each hour. It all starts 7:35 a.m. The #1 player in the country, Robert Nkemdiche, whose brother plays at Ole Miss, had a great year this year, will decide between Florida, LSU, and Ole Miss. You see the top guys all before 11:15 in the morning. It is a huge day in college football. Boy, Dari Noka, Reese Davis, those two guys will be driving the boat. A busy, busy day. So be sure to join us right here on ESPNU. Kentucky continues to shoot so well. 67%, 23 out of 34. And they've held South Carolina to 30% shooting. They are 15 out of 49. Kentucky also, Coach, plus 17 in the rebound department, 34-17.
Am I allowed to say anything negative? The Wildcats have played outstanding tonight. 16 turnovers again, Dave. At this juncture in the game, they have to clean that up if they want to be an elite team. But they've played marvelously tonight.
I mean, to turn it over 16 times and still lead by 24 says something. Here's Ellington, baseline. Noel comes out of the pack with the basketball. That is now 8 boards for Nerlens. Kentucky will have Auburn in this building on Saturday. Then next Tuesday, on Super Tuesday, it's a trip down to Gainesville. Noel now in double figures.
And if Ryan Harrow could play off the ball screens like that, that's a wonderful mark for Kentucky. Got deep into the lane, made the right pass. Guys ask me all the time, Dave, like I had the fortune to coach Chris Paul, like what makes Chris special? Now, of course, the athletic ability, the ball handling, but the thing about Chris Paul was he did what the game told him to do. In other words, if he was coming off a ball screen and the roll guy deserved the ball, that's who got the ball. If he came off the screen and they sagged off the corner, he kicked it to the wide open 3. And then if they left him, he took the shot. So a lot of kids make their minds up before they come off the ball screen as to what they're going to do. Do what the game tells you to do. And Harrow did it on the last possession. That was the exact right pass to make.
Poitras. Carrera back on the floor, right in the middle of the action with 4 fouls. Here's Jackson. Carrera to the rim. He's fouled.
Now, here's one little thing Kentucky needs to do defensively. When Nerlens Noel comes over to block the shot, the defender at the elbow must sink to the level of the ball and get his guy off of the offensive glass. Now, that thing hasn't reared itself tonight where he's come over him because he's blocked everything. And the same thing he did against Ole Miss. But he's better served instead of bringing his arm down.
Right.
Just lift it up there. That's what created the foul. A little too exuberant in that block right there.
South Carolina struggling from the line. They're 11 out of 18. Goodwin to the basket. Knocked out of bounds. It'll belong to South Carolina.
That's Kentucky's horns play with the 2 bigs up top where Goodwin could come off either side. But when he comes off that screen, his shoulder should be on a screener's hip so the defender can't get through there.
Here's Jackson. Well, they need to get him going. He has struggled the last few games for South Carolina. The team today, 1 for 4. And let's see, a loose ball foul against Damian Leonard. We talked about recruiting. Of course, tomorrow's signing day on the gridiron. But when it comes to basketball and recruiting, it's hard to deny this locker room here at Rupp Arena.
The floor of the locker room is the floor from the national championship game. It's unbelievable. It's the facilities on this campus. There's the banner of the national championship trophy. Dave, equality and balance in college athletics is an illusionary concept. It's not that way. Some teams have better facilities, locker rooms, money, mode of transportation. Some guys have elevators. Some guys have ladders. The guys with the ladders.
I'm a ladder guy.
Me too. You just got to keep climbing. That's all you can do. The facilities here off the charts. It's unbelievable. They get it right at Kentucky basketball.
I knew it was something special when Coach Cal today, we're walking out of practice, and he says, hey, you guys got to go check out our locker room.
Yeah. And we did.
We did.
And it's unbelievable.
And we were impressed. Wilcher cuts. Little scoop shot, won't go. Ollie Stein's tap denied as well.
Little old school hook, but when he lets it go, he has to let it go at 12 o'clock. In other words, your hand should be almost like the hand on a clock pointing to the 1-2. Extend that arm, lift it, let that ball go at 12 o'clock.
R.J. Slauson knocks down that three-pointer. R.J. just his 3rd 3 of the year, 3 out of 11. his first points. 20-point game with 4:38 to go. Here's Allington, bumped by Cauley-Stein and bumped Jamie Luckey in the process. Well, speaking of recruiting, here's the signing class for John Calipari. Look at the numbers on the ESPN 100 list. I mean, that's almost not fair.
The Harrison brothers are just hard-nosed. They compete, high-level competitors. When they come in here, they're gonna stir some things up. And once again, the guy on the sideline for Kentucky, one of the best recruiters in the last 5 or 10 years in all of college basketball. You can see why guys want to come here. Outstanding facilities, great coach. He's taken 3 teams to Final Fours, and he helps them fulfill their dream. They want to play in the league. He gets them to the league, and he's the biggest advocate, not in favor of the one and done, but he's playing by the rules. If that's what the rule's going to be, that's the way he's going to recruit.
We will take the timeout along with Kentucky. Coach Cal's team up 18 at home. Kentucky's lead is 18, 4.5 to play from Rupp Arena. Dave Neal, Dino Gaudio, Frank Martin in that huddle. And was a great high school coach in South Florida, and then started in the college ranks and was on the Bob Huggins staff at Cincinnati. And there's Coach Huggins. And just to behind Coach Huggins is Andy Kennedy, the head coach at Ole Miss now. And off to the right, or the left of your screen, is Frank Martin of South Carolina. And boy, there's few like Coach Martin when it comes to sideline antics.
As we mentioned, coaching is all about getting guys to get out of their comfort zone. You have to be confrontational. You have to challenge guys. Behavior that's not acceptable. The coaches that are the most demanding are the most successful ones. And that's why that guy's a successful coach. What he did at Kansas State and what he'll eventually do at South Carolina, you can mark it down. They'll be back to 20-win seasons and in the NCAA tournament with this guy coaching them.
Of course, at Kansas State, 3 straight NCAAs, won 29 games back in the 2009-2010 season.
John McKay, the great football coach at Southern Cal, said coaches have to look for what they don't want to see and listen for what they don't want to hear. And when you hear that stuff, you just have to go after it. I think the thing with Frank Martin is this: like, coaches can't handle all the problems because we don't know all the problems.
Right.
When guys are going in the locker room and complaining, hey, coach is on me, somebody has to step up and say, well, that's not how we do things here. There has to be voices in the locker room that are saying the right things collectively for the team. And that's where John Calipari is, too. You talk about, Darius Miller and Patrick Patterson and those veterans, Liggins and Deron Lamb. In the locker room, they're missing those voices on this version of Kentucky basketball.
There he is, the drive from Mays, the lob to Cauley-Stein. Willie Cauley-Stein now with 11 points. Make it 13. 5 Wildcats in double figures. Julius Mays has had a nice evening of basketball as well, with 15 points to lead the Cats.
Hit that screen and run through it, Dave.
Oh, easy to say that. It's a Super Tuesday. Kentucky out in front by 20 points. 3:52 to go in this one. Well, you can't get them all, as they say.
Well, he almost gets them all,
right.
The guy on the Kentucky sideline. But Mark Lyons officially visited Kentucky coming off of Xavier. And, I mean, look what he's doing at Arizona. 14-9, 43%. But the guy he was recruiting against a little bit, that guy Sean Miller, also from Pittsburgh, had an inside track. Sean actually recruited Mark to Xavier. Then he left to take the Arizona job and had a prior relationship with the young man. But that veteran player like Mark Lyons might have helped this basketball team. And then there's Rich Troy. I spoke to Rich earlier. As we know, he's the Bobcats general manager, and asked him how Michael Kidd-Gilchrist was after the concussion the other night. He said He's feeling much better. He's with the team. But he has to go through that procedure, Dave, where they constantly test you for the concussion tests. And once he clears that, he'll be back to playing. But tough fall the other day in the game on the road. And, but he's healthy. He's back for the Kentucky Wildcat fans. And as soon as he clears those tests, he'll be back on the hardwood.
Shot clock down to 4. Ellington. Cauley-Stein had his hands on it. And Ellington was standing out of bounds when he touched the basketball, so the Cats will have it. 3:26 to go in this one.
Living in Charlotte, I've probably seen 5 Bobcat practices and games. And Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, they just love him down there. Practices hard, plays hard. Great representative of Kentucky basketball and the Bobcats as well.
Slauson will try another 3. That's no good. South Carolina shooting 30% from the field. They are 5 out of 21 behind the arc. Jackson tries to go over Cauley-Stein, and Wiltshire with a rebound.
They just don't have a lot of size. The kid Carlton Gathers, 6'10", fractured his kneecap this summer. Anthony Gill, 6'8" kid before Coach Martin gets here, transfers to UVA. And DeMontre Harris, 6'9", he transfers to Florida. So they just don't have size out there, South Carolina, and that makes it difficult to score at the rim for this basketball team. And those big guys right there, they hurt you a little bit trying to score at the rim. The guys in the white shirts, number 3 and number 15.
South Carolina beat Arkansas. That's how crazy this is. They beat Arkansas 75-54. And then tonight, Arkansas knocks off number 2 ranked Florida.
I think they have the same names, but when Arkansas goes on the road, they're really different guys.
Yeah.
They just struggle on the road.
It's crazy.
But,
at home, a different ball club.
Frank Martin in South Carolina's motto has to be all good things in time.
Isn't that hard, though, as a
coach? It is hard. It is hard. We talked at length today at the shoot-around, but I know one thing. He just does not accept anything but those kids' his best. I mean, he was barking at him at the shoot-around, and he's just not going to accept some of the behavior and guys not playing hard.
Nerlens misfires on that free throw. He has struggled tonight at the line. He is 0 for 3 at the strike. Kivicius, a little no look over the head. Nothing but net. Harrow.
Wonderful play. Got his shoulders by the defender, Ellington. Got below the foul line, squared up, took the jump shot. You know, a lot of those guards will shoot that floater, Dave. And you'll hear a lot of analysts say, hey, they have to have that floater in their game. That's sometimes a difficult shot. You're better served just pulling up, shooting a little jump shot.
Noel with that rebound. And then a foul against the Gamecocks. Team Jackson. Fouls Archie Goodwin.
I like Jackson not quitting on the play. He's going to contest everything, and that's what South Carolina basketball is supposed to stand for.
That rebounds by Noel gives him a double-double, 10 points, 10 rebounds. 4th double-double of the season for Nerlens. Goodwin on the year, averaging almost 15 points a game.
This young guy coming in the game for South Carolina, number 55. Shane Phillips attended Wheeling Central Catholic High School. Former head basketball coach there. Skip Prosser and Dino Gotti.
How about that now?
Great basketball tradition at that school.
Well, don't forget, coming up next, ESPNU National Signing Day Preview Show. And the clock is ticking. If you're a head coach right now, are you nervous? Are you The hay in the barn. I mean, it's, yeah.
This football stuff is unbelievable.
It's
to
crazy.
Me. Guys commit, decommit, recommit. Get a tattoo for the commitment.
That's why we have the guys up at 7:30 in the morning on signing day.
That does not happen in basketball. Yeah. Guys commit. They hold their commitments. They stay. The football stuff would drive me nuts. Okay, he committed to this school. He committed to this school. Okay, now we're down to at least us and them.
Right. 8.5 hours. It all starts. Robert Nkemdiche at 7:35 a.m. John Hood gets in the game. Kicked out of bounds. 58 seconds to play in this one. So, if you're Kentucky, you got to be feeling pretty good, Coach. You're now going to win 4 in a row. What's the next step for this group?
I think the next step for this group is taking better care of the ball. Especially if you want to go on the road, you have to take care of the basketball. I think they defended better tonight. I think their defense is a little skewed at times, and here's what I mean by that. Nerlens Noel erases so many errors. They think those other 4 guys on the floor have to be a little more solid with their defense. But Coach Calipari in his last 100 games in February and March, 90-10. His teams just keep getting better down the stretch.
Well, if you're South Carolina, back to the drawing board, keep grinding it out, I guess, huh?
Absolutely, absolutely. Just keep playing hard. They have the guy to take this program in the right direction. As long as they're big eyes and big ears, they're looking at him and they're listening, they'll be fine.
Well, Kentucky will go to 16-6, 7-2, a game back of Florida. South Carolina will drop to 12-10, 2-7 in conference play. Frank Martin, John Calipari. 77-55 is our final score. Coming up next, ESPNU National Signing Day preview show. So for the coach, Dino Gaudio, and the rest of our exceptional ESPNU Super Tuesday crew, I'm Dave Neal saying so long from Lexington, Kentucky. We will see you down the road.